The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to you wherever you may be. This is Comfortably Zoned Radio, and you're listening to the 50s, when Bums and Jints walk the streets of New York. My name is Peter Trunk, and my co-hosts are Ron Rabinovitz and Ralph Tyko. Ron, how are you?
Good. How are you, Peter?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good.
Ralph, what's going on?
Well, I'm doing well myself. Can't complain about a thing. I hope the storms in the east have let up on you guys. You've really suffered this winter.
Yeah, baseball's coming though. Baseball.
Yeah, right.
I know. Every season is 3 months long, but winter always seems like it's 6 months long.
This is true.
It's the truth.
And that voice you just heard, ladies and gentlemen, is our special guest tonight. That voice belongs to Murray Trachtenberg, who for 35 years was the general manager of, I'll let him tell you. Murray, welcome to the show once again. Tell our fans what your background is and what your basic, just your basic stuff.
Well, listen, I was born in Coney Island, grew up in Brooklyn, and I liked all the sports. It was a sports world in those days because of the three local teams, and it was hotly contested, and everybody thought that their team was the greatest, and the rivalry between the Dodgers and Giants overshadowed what the Yankees and the Red Sox have. I mean, that was the greatest rivalry in the history of baseball, and the comeback in '51 was the greatest comeback in the history of baseball too.
Murray, what was it like being a Giant fan in Brooklyn?
In Brooklyn.
I was going to ask you too. Unbelievable.
Well, you got to remember, I had two older brothers and my father, and they were devout Giant fans. My father was following the Giants from 1900. We all went to the games. This is how it was. We go to the games, and if the Giants lost, we came home. We all had headaches. We didn't want to eat. That's how it was. That's how my mother knew it, and that's how it was.
Did you ever go to Ebbets Field too, or you went all the way?
Yeah, I went to Ebbets Field, of course. I went to, not as much as the Polo Grounds, but I went to Ebbets Field, I remember Sullivan Way there and the great bleachers that Ebbets Field had that was covered in left center field was great. I understand that.
And the great signs in right field.
Oh, yeah. Happy Felt with the knot hole gang hit the circle and won Abe Stark win a suit or something, whatever it was, right?
Right. Hit sign, win suit.
What's that?
Hit sign, win suit.
Right. I remember the Dodgers had a guy who used to go out to center field. He'd go out and he'd touch the wall. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
You remember a guy by the name of George Schuber?
Shotgun Schuber, sure.
Shotgun Schuber.
That's right. He used to go out and touch the wall in center field. That was his thing. Why he did it, I don't know. But
my wife and I met him.
My co-host Peter got to meet Shotgun Schuber.
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
Did you, Peter?
Yes, my wife and I met him, and we had our pictures taken with him and everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Signed our stuff. Yeah, there was a Dodger weekend. There was a Dodger weekend up by Giant Stadium in one of the big hotels up there. I want to say the Hilton, but I'm not sure if it's called the Hilton. But it was about, a good 10 years ago, 11 years ago. They had what's called Dodger Weekend. They had the Brooklyn Dodgers on Saturday, and the Los Angeles Dodgers on Sunday. So we got to meet. I went both days, and we got to meet everybody. And Linda became good friends with Steve Garvey and people like that. And
Steve Garvey, very nice guy. Steve Garvey's a very nice guy. I met him a couple of times in Carnegie. I actually sat him down. Very nice guy. Real gentleman.
And he has some good taste in women.
Listen, all you guys, you remember the 51 playoffs. I know that.
Sure.
But do you remember the 62 playoffs with the Giants and Dodgers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very well.
And the Dodgers were winning 4-2 in the ninth inning?
Yeah, and then Stan Williams walked everybody.
Well, but not only Stan Williams. You remember, what was it? Billy Lowe's was pitching.
Yeah,
Billy Lowe's.
Was it Billy Lowe's or
Not in
one of those two guys?
I think.
No. Lowe's was pitching, and it was 4-2, and the Giants had a couple of men on, and he threw a pitch to Willie Mays. He was trying to walk Mays, but Mays stepped across the plate and hit a low line drive. He hit it so hard, Lowe's stuck out his glove, and it took the ball and the glove out to center field.
I think that was Ed Roebuck.
Maybe it was Ed Roebuck. That's who it was, Ed Roebuck.
Ed Roebuck. And it couldn't have been Lowe's. Lowe's was gone.
Right. The ball and the glove went out to center field. Okay? That's how hard Mays hit the ball. Low line drive.
The sad part about that for a Dodger fan was that because of my age, I was born in 1946, I remember the 62 playoff loss much better than the 51 playoff. The 51 playoff I just read about. I was only
62 was one game.
I was only 5 years old. You know?
Right. 62 was a one-game playoff. 51 was a three-game playoff. It was altogether different.
Wait a minute. 51 was a three-game playoff, and 62 was a three-game playoff.
I don't think so.
Wasn't it 3 games? Ralph?
I don't think so.
I know that Pagan played in 165 games that year, so it must have been a 3-game playoff.
It must have been. Yeah.
So I remember the third game then.
Yeah. Well, the third game was the game.
Right.
The third game
and that was the World Series where there was so much rain. And then the Yankees won it with that shot that McCovey hit and Richardson caught, and then that was the end of the game. It was hit so hard.
Richardson on these airwaves a few weeks ago, and he talked about it, and he was especially valuable as a guest to me because he proved that you could be down in life, and he was down after that, and then came back and won the World Series the year after. So he was a fascinating guest, is what I'm saying. And they were some great Yankee teams too. All three teams. We thought it was a birthright to have the World Series played in our backyard.
Oh, sure.
Right?
You know, you got to remember the Yankees won the World Series 49, 50, 51, 52, and 53, 5 years in a row.
And they won more games in 54 than they won in any other year that they ever played.
Yeah, but they didn't win the pennant though. The Cleveland Indians won it.
The Cleveland Indians went nuts.
Yeah.
I think they won 111 games. The Indians. Yep. And the Indians had 4 starting pitchers. They had Wynn, Lemon, and Garcia. They were all 20-game winners. And there was Bob Fellows last year, and he won 17 games. And Cleveland was very, very big favorites. The Giants came in and beat them 4 straight.
They had other pitchers, too, that were terrific. They had Narleski and Mossy.
Yeah, Ray Narleski, right. I understand that. I know.
Yes.
I know.
So,
that was the year that the left-hander, oh God, I'm just trying to think. Who hit those cheap shot home runs, you know?
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes, there he goes. Dusty Rhodes. Hit the 257 feet home runs, you know, in the Polo Grounds. And of course,
they counted for a run.
Right, and that's what Mays made, of course.
Remembering the write-ups and the stories, I think one of Dusty Rhodes' home run was in fact called and dubbed a Chinese home run, quote unquote. But the other one went to Mars. He hit one like 450 feet too. And the 62 playoff was 3 games.
Okay.
62 playoff was 3 games.
And both times the Giants beat them.
Yep.
Both times the Giants beat them.
Yep.
That was wonderful for me. I mean, I loved it. I loved it.
As a Giant fan, there were a lot of years along the way.
I was on cloud 9.
Me too.
You know, you talk about insignificant records.
As a Giant fan, it was tough.
I remember a certain record insignificant records in baseball. You know, there's so many baseballs. But do you know something? Would you know who holds the record for the most putouts by an outfielder in the history of baseball? Who do you think holds the record?
In their career or in a season?
In the history of since organized baseball started, who holds the record for the most putouts by an outfielder in history, in baseball history?
Gary Maddox.
I'd say Willie.
There you go, Willie Mays, 9,001 putouts. That is a major league record, 9,001 putouts by an outfielder.
As Al Blumkin would say, you got to have a high ball pitching staff to have that happen.
Well, yeah. How are you guys on
Murray, he started out in Minneapolis, you know.
I know, when they brought him up, he was hitting .477 when they brought him up.
Yeah, with the Millers. That's right.
Right,
and then he went 0 for 11 with the Giants.
Yeah.
Right, I know.
And hit a home run.
First hit was a home run off of Warren Spahn.
And you know something? The Yankees were a half hour away from signing Mays. They almost signed.
Were they really?
But they hesitated, and then Giants got in on it. That's it. They almost had Mays. They would have waited another half hour. They got him, and they would have had Mays and Mantle, both of them.
Well, okay, that would.
How are you guys? Let me ask you something. Are you guys interested at all in trivia, like movie trivia, stuff like that?
Absolutely.
I know Peter is, and I am too.
Yeah, you like the old movies, like John Wayne movies, and you know John Wayne. He holds the record. He made 252 movies in his career. Nobody's ever made that much. And in the 252 movies, he only died in 6 pictures out of the whole 52. That's right. And I could remember every one of them. You know, he died in the Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. He died in the Cowboys. He died in the Alamo. He died in the Fighting Seabees. He died in the Shooters, and he died in the Sands of Iwo Jima. That's 6 pictures. That was it.
He died from heartburn at Carnegie, did he?
Well, yeah, he's a big smoker. He smoked 5 packs of cigarettes a day. That was it.
Did he ever come into Carnegie? Did you get to meet him?
No. But you know who came into the Carnegie once? It was a Sunday night about 6 o'clock in the evening. In walks Gregory Peck and Charlton Heston. Both of them.
Kidding.
No kidding. They sat down. I didn't want to bother them, but, they sat. You talk about classy guys. There's real class. Very nice. And 2 gentlemen. They really were nice. Hey, listen, they all came. Bela Lugosi had his office right next to the Carnegie at 850 7th Avenue. We were 854. And he used to come in the mornings, and he came in a lot of times with Vincent Price. Vincent Price had an office there too. Vincent Price was the art critic for the White House. Did you know that?
No.
He was the what?
He was the critic, the art critic for the White House.
No kidding.
He decided what pictures went into the White House.
No kidding. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. Wow. He was also a very classy guy. Big guy, about 6'6", really tremendous guy. Sure. They all used to come in. Bob Fosse used to come in with Patty Chayefsky every morning. Every morning they came in. Fosse, all he ever would drink was coffee and cigarettes. That's what he did. Patty Chayefsky used to steal packages of gum. That's what his thing. He had a little stand out in front there with gum, and he always used to take one. I made believe like I didn't see it.
We're talking with Murray Trachtenberg, who was, among other things, of course, a million other things, he was the general manager of Carnegie Deli in New York City for 35 years, and he's reminiscing. I have a question. Why would guys, now this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because I'm known for stupid questions. Why would guys come into the Carnegie Deli in the morning? What do they eat in the morning? They're not
breakfast.
Having pastrami sandwiches.
Lox and bagels.
You got to understand. We were open 22 hours a day, okay? And we had people coming in from all over the world. We had a lot of Japanese waitresses coming in 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. For them, that was dinner time for them. They were on a different time schedule. You understand?
Right.
So that's why we opened 6 o'clock in the morning. We served we served breakfast, lunch, and dinner 22 hours a day. It didn't matter. So, you know, what was 6 o'clock in the morning for us was like 6 o'clock at night for them. They were eating.
Okay.
Sure.
We carried everything.
They have like coffee flashes in the morning.
Right. And you know something? I think that the reason that the Carnegie was so successful were certain things that I stipulated that you should have. You got to serve quality, quantity, consistency, and attention to detail. If you follow those 4 things, you're going to make a success. You got to have the same thing every day. You can't be hit and miss. Just like if somebody came in, say you came into the Carnegie, right? Yeah. And you wanted egg salad for argument's sake. That egg salad was just as important to you as a corned beef sandwich was to somebody else. Right. That's how you had to have it. That's why, especially with egg salad, because anything that has mayonnaise into it doesn't have any shelf life. It turns real quick. Yeah. You ever go into a restaurant and you order an egg salad sandwich and you can't smell the aroma of it, don't eat it because it's not fresh. I never did that. I used to boil up 60 hard-boiled eggs and keep them in nice water. And if somebody walked in, I made an egg salad just right on the spot. It only takes a second. You know, I put it into the Bain Marie.
Where did you go for a good nosh when you just had to get out of your place?
I didn't need any in other places. We had everything.
Okay. No, in other words, just for a change of scenery maybe, or just...
you mean like Chinese food or Italian food?
Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, what did you like?
Look, so many hours I worked, I didn't have time to go to other restaurants. I went home. My wife is an excellent cook. I went home. I wasn't interested in any other restaurant. But, you know, once in a while, once a year, we'd go down to a place called Sammy's downtown, you know, Jewish Romanian stuff, you know, with the egg creams and the seltzer bottles on the table and stuff like that.
I've been,
but that was only once a year, like at Christmas time. Yeah. We'd come
in
about.
How about moving up to Minneapolis and opening up a Carnegie West? We don't have a decent deli here.
Well, what can I tell you? You know, it's like I said, it's a lost art. When I broke in, it was all Jewish, and now it's not. Yeah. It's a different world today.
Murray, did you guys serve egg creams?
Of course, egg creams, malteds, all that kind of stuff. I used to. As a matter of fact, when I made egg creams, I used to keep the milk and the seltzer and the syrup in the ice cream freezer. Keep it very, very, very cold because egg creams, it's a chemical combination. If the stuff is not very, very, very cold, it doesn't come out right.
Right.
And to make an egg cream properly, you got to put the milk in first, and then you put the seltzer in, okay? And it foams up, and it gets a short, thick white head. Then you hit a couple of shots of chocolate syrup, and you give it a couple of mixes. You don't mix it too much, 2 or 3 times. And it foams up, and you get the short, thick white head on top. That's where it gets the name egg cream from. That's how we used to make it. And used to keep the glasses in the freezer, too.
Did you use Fox's You Bet?
Yeah, Fox's You Bet. Well, I used to use Fox's. We used Fox's You Bet, but commercially I used to use Diamond brand syrup. And that's what all the luncheonettes used. Okay? Because I remember I had a luncheonette back in 1960. I had a luncheonette in Brighton Beach. Murray and Ronnie's, me and my brother, and we used to serve. We had a luncheonette there. You know, we served all that stuff. Then I got out of there and I went to the Carnegie, whatever. You know, that's how.
Did you have a luncheonette in your neighborhood, Peter, in Brooklyn that you went to? I did in Jackson Heights.
I'm going to tell you why, Ralph. I'm going to tell you why, and it's going to burst your bubble, and you're going to be disappointed. I moved from Brooklyn to New Jersey at age 4.
Oh.
So we used to go back every Sunday to see my family because my family all lived in a 4-family house. All my aunts and uncles lived in the same house. So we used to go back there every Sunday. But like middle school, high school, even grammar school or anything like that, I'm at a loss. I don't know anything about that. I don't know where the good bars were down the corner. I knew there was an elevated railroad right down the street from our house, and I knew that was Fulton Street. But,
right.
you know, I never had the chance, Ralph, and both you guys, Ron and Murray, I never really had the chance to grow there, like, you know, things that a 9-year-old does, things that an 11-year-old does, things that a 10 or 12-year-old does, you know, riding his bicycle all around and learning all these different things. I never had that. My claim to fame is that I was born in Brooklyn. And, and my father, was a teacher, and he got a job, where the money was. He was a, believe it or not, my father was a, professor at St. John's University, and to teach school, high school in Newark, New Jersey, he almost doubled his salary. So he bought a house in the Vailsburg section of Newark, and we all moved to Newark, and that was the end of that. So, you know, he went where the money was, and, I had to go to Ebbetsfield different ways and get, you know, my uncles to take me and stuff, and, then, of course, when the Dodgers played those games in Jersey City, I was all over that. I was there all the time in 56 and 57.
I remember that.
Went there all the time. In fact, that's where I got my yearbooks and, you know, stuff like that at Roosevelt Stadium. But, you know, when you asked me if there was a deli around, I'm sure there were a myriad of them. But I, for one, would be a liar.
You were in the neighborhood, but it's interesting. I had those things in New York and Queens as a 9, 10, 11-year-old kid, but I never had New York as an adult because when I was 20, I was going to be drafted. I had to join the Air Force to get out of being in the Army or the Marines, and I was stationed out in California, and I just stayed out here.
Where were you stationed in California?
I was at Travis Air Force Base.
I was in Camp Pendleton.
Oh, really?
1st Marine Division.
Wow.
Yeah, because I joined the Navy way back in the 53. I joined the Navy. I became a hospital corpsman, a medic. The Navy, the Marines are a branch of the Navy. They don't have their own medical personnel, so they switched me into the 1st Marine Division out in Pendleton.
Hey, let's go. We're all of the Vietnam era. Let's go.
I'm from the Korean era. Because I took a short course in field medicine, and then I went right to Korea. That's what it was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Sure. I was a medic.
What was your experience like in Korea, Murray?
Yeah, not so good. I'm glad I'm still alive.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, in the Navy, when you go into the Navy in boot camp, at that time it was 16 weeks boot camp. And every week they give you what they call a general classification test, a GCT. And then they find out in the 15th week they bring you into an office there with the lieutenant, and he wants to know what your job training was. What do you want to do? What kind of rating do you want to do? What do you want to do in the Navy? I said, well, I'd like to go aboard ship and maybe be a gunner's mate. And Lieutenant Devins, who interviewed me, said to me, Murray, Jews are not gunner's mates. He says, you're going to be a medical, you got an aptitude for medicine. And I said, what is, I didn't even know what a corpsman was, but he says, you're going to like it. So I went to school for 6 months in the Navy school, and you know, all the Navy schools are recognized by every college and university in the country if you're making the grades. That's right.
Really?
So we went to school 9 hours a day, 6 days a week for 6 months.
Wow.
And I became a hospital corpsman. Corpsman is not like the Army medic where they know first aid. We had to take physics, chemistry, materia medica, pharmacology, toxicology, all that kind of stuff. Anatomy.
You were like a doctor, right? You were a doctor.
Well, I didn't want to be a doctor. My parents wanted me to be a doctor. I didn't want to be a doctor. I wanted to play baseball.
Good for you.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play baseball. But I went to the University of Miami, and I stayed a few years, but that's not what I wanted to do. It wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
I would have played baseball for nothing. I loved it,
I know.
But what can I tell you? We all have certain things that we'd like to. If we had to do over again, we'd do it. But I can't complain because I've been very lucky.
What would have you done if you didn't get into teaching?
Me?
Who me?
Peter. No,
Peter.
Oh, if I didn't get into teaching, that's very difficult to answer because I was one of those kids with the head in the clouds, and I didn't know. You know when you're 6 years old and your uncle comes into the room and he says, "So, what are you going to be when you grow up?" I had about as much of an idea as what I wanted to do at 6 that I had at 16 or 18. I didn't know.
Me too. I wanted to play baseball.
All I knew is that I was playing baseball. I was playing semi-pro. I was playing under an assumed name because coaches didn't want me to didn't want to forfeit games because of my name was known in the sports press and stuff like that. I played baseball all over the place. But the thing of it is, when Ralph asked me if I wasn't going to become a teacher, what would I become? I really can't answer that question honestly, Ralph, because when I went to college, all I wanted to do was play baseball and play in my rock and roll band and stuff like that. I thought I was going to be the next coming of the Rolling Stones or the center fielder for the New York Mets or whatever. And my father at the time was winding down his career as a teacher, and he knew people down at the Board of Education, and he said, "Go down and have an interview." So I didn't want to be unemployed when I graduated, and so I went down for an interview, and my father said, "You go in for the interview, you answer everything the best you can, wear a nice white shirt and tie and a jacket, be a gentleman and stuff, and they'll let you know in 2 or 3 weeks if you got a job." So I went down, I wore a white shirt and a tie and a jacket. I get in there, and they asked me all these kind of questions. They asked me this philosophical question. I still remember it, and I'll probably remember it on my deathbed. They asked me what I thought of giving trophies to winning teams or winning players. Did I think that was a good thing or a bad thing? And there were like 8 people around this table, all staring at me. And I started answering the question that I was for it, and by the time I shut my big mouth, 15 minutes later, I was against it. So I screwed it up totally. They thanked me. I left the room. I went out. I thanked the secretary. I went out in the hallway. I pushed the button for the elevator. Before the elevator came, they were tapping me on the shoulder with a contract, offering me to sign the contract to be a teacher. And that's how I became a teacher. So to answer your question, I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's the whole truth. But the truth. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
You hadn't thought of anything else to do, and that was it.
That was it.
Your dad encouraging you to be a teacher for the steadiness of it all.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that, Ralph.
Did that kind of curtail your, let me just try to be a rock and roller and put it all into that, or baseball?
I'm sure it did.
When you talk about rock and roll,
he explained to me this, and then I'll shut up. I'll just tie up loose ends here, and then I'll let Murray talk. I like to hear Murray talk. What happened was he explained to me about having the whole summer off, having a winter vacation, a spring vacation, having sick days. You take sick days that are cumulative, which means you have 15 sick days a year and 3 personal days. Whatever sick days you don't use, they add on to the next year. So by the time you retire, you can have 1,000,000 days, and they have to pay you for it. And the pension and the life insurance and this and that. He blew so much of that smoke up my ass and it was all true. It was all true.
So
he blew so much up my ass that I said, you know something? I would be a fool to walk away from this. So
as a teacher, you're probably off about 5 months out of the year, actually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Peter, were you in high school? Were you a high school teacher?
High school, 35 years, same school.
Wow, great.
Yep.
Everybody got
and
AIDS.
if I knew Murray Trachtenberg was over at the Carnegie Deli, I would have taken a sick day and I would have gone over and had a hot corned beef sandwich and argued with him that Duke Snider was better than Willie Mays.
You know that's a losing argument though. You know that.
I know.
Willie had 660 and Duke Snider had 407.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, you know,
right.
Duke Snider hit more home runs in the 50s than any other human being.
Yeah, he was.
He had more RBIs too.
He had like over 40 home runs, I think, 5 years.
Yes, he did in a row.
I know. Yeah, you know something? Duke Snider had the most beautiful swing I ever saw. He had such a fluid, beautiful left-handed swing. Really nice.
Sure did.
Yep.
Yeah, he had a great swing. Yeah. All right, so what are we going to talk about now? You don't like to talk about movies too much, I see, right?
You can talk about movies. Go ahead.
Do you remember the movie 30 Seconds Over Tokyo?
30 Seconds Over Tokyo.
Yeah, do you remember that picture?
I remember the picture, but I can't bring it up on my screen right now in my brain. I mean, I've heard of it.
It was a true story, you know. Actually,
okay.
when they went in with the B-25 bombers off the carrier, the Hornet. I remember that picture with Van Johnson and Don DeFore and Spencer Tracy, Phyllis Thaxter. Van Johnson came into the Carnegie one day, and I looked at him and I said, how's your leg? You know, I see you walking pretty good. He says, wow. He says, you got a good memory. I says, yeah, I got a good memory. I remember you named Ted Lawson in the picture, who you played. And then another guy walked in, at a different time, of course, and I looked at him and I said to him, I says, don't you ever sweat? I just said that to him. And he looked at me. He says, wow. He says, you got some memory. This was E.G. Marshall. And he was one of the 12 angry men in that picture. And
I have an ex-wife whose uncle by marriage was E.G. Marshall.
No kidding.
12 Angry Men, yes.
12 Angry Men with Henry. I remember I remember all 12 of them in that picture too.
And some weren't even all that angry, it turns out.
Well, look, Henry Fonda was in it. Ed Begley was in it. Jack Klugman was in it. E.G. Marshall was in it. Edward Binns was in it. Jack Warden was in it. George Voskovic was in it. Martin Balsam, Joseph Sweeney, Lee J. Cobb, Robert Weber, and John Fiedler. Those were all the 12 Angry Men.
Now, of those 12 Angry Men, Murray, of those 12 Angry Men, which was the one? And I'm talking about the original movie now. The guys that you just mentioned. Who was the guy when they were deliberating in the room? The guy said, "Oh man, I got tickets to the ball game today."
Yeah, that's Jack Warden.
Yeah, remember that line?
He went and he flipped the thing up to the fan and it bounced. He says 2 points, and Joseph Sweeney said that was a stupid thing to do because they hit him in the forehead.
Murray, you are amazing. I can't tell you what I had for breakfast.
Listen, I love old pictures. You remember the pictures, The Thief of Baghdad?
Sure.
You know, do you remember? Well, you know, Sabu was in that, right?
Who?
Remember Sabu?
Sabu, yes, I remember that. Who
played the blind man?
Who played the blind man?
Yeah, you know, the one he was the prince, but he was blinded by
the prince.
Everybody
got blinded.
Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah, I do, but I can't think of his name.
Right, it wasn't. A lot of people think it was John Hall, but it wasn't John Hall. It was John Justin. And, yeah, he played that. That's how it was. You know, those old pictures with. They stick in your memory. I was watching an old picture the other night, The Lost Horizon. I hadn't seen that in many years with Ronald Colman.
Hell of a book.
That was a required book reading in.
That was a good book.
Very interesting,
too. Really good book.
Terrific book.
Yep.
Do you have any Frank Sinatra stories? Did he come into the Deli at all?
I never seen Sinatra. I spoke with him on the phone.
You did?
No, I didn't see him. If he did, I didn't see him. But I spoke with him over the phone to say I sent out food to him out in California. You know.
Oh wow.
I said that stuff like that. But Henny Young was there every day. He didn't miss.
Really?
Because he ate for nothing. That's why. They all came in. Oh yeah, that's where it was. Nobody was excited.
Murray, I got a good one for you, Murray.
Yeah.
You've been telling us now all these times, all these stories about who came into the Carnegie and what gentlemen they were, and Steve Garvey this, and this guy was a gentleman that really Charlton Heston came in. Who was the pain in the ass that came in?
Who was the pain in the ass?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, Barbara Streisand wasn't so nice.
Barbara Streisand?
Barbara Streisand wasn't so nice.
She come in with her dog? Did she bring her dog in?
No, she didn't. No. She had the dog out in her limousine. She had a limousine with a built-in bathroom in her limousine.
Okay.
Because she didn't want to use public bathrooms. So she had her own private bathroom, right?
I got to tell my wife that when I get off the phone.
Right. Like most of the guys were really nice, really nice. I thought a couple of guys were pretty cheap, but that's what it is.
Did you have to throw anybody out?
Who?
Did you have to throw anybody out ever?
I threw somebody out once, but he wasn't in the movie industry or anything. He was just a regular person,
Okay.
The guy who was he was complaining about the food, but he finished all his food just about. He left a little piece, and he says, "I'm not eating this goddamn food. It's crap. It's not." I said, "Well, you finished 95% of it." He says, "Well, I'm not paying." I says, "Yes, you are." He says, "Who's going to stop me?" I says, "Me." I said, "I'm going to go to the front door. If you get past me, you're home free. But you got to get past me."
Yeah.
So he says, he took out a whole wad of money and he paid. He says, "I'm never coming in here again." I says, "You got it wrong." I said, "You can't come in here anymore. You go down to the next block, down to the Stage Deli, because if I see you, I'm going to throw you out." That's what it was,
Good for you.
Was he just drunk that night, or
who, the guy? No, he wasn't drunk. He was just looking for something for nothing, that's all.
For nothing.
It's not like he didn't have any money. If a guy had no money, it's a different story. Look, I used to get into work about 5:30 in the morning. And a lot of my merchandise used to come in, at that early in the morning. Outside we had the iron doors that you opened up and you had the chute going down into the basement. You understand what it is? Right.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm standing out there. It's in the winter time. It's pretty cold. It must have been about 5:15 in the morning. And this kid comes by to me, all right? Happened to be a black kid, but he was, no problem. I'm not saying that because of color or anything, but he was about, I would estimate he was maybe 18 or 19 years old, okay? Mm-hmm. Young kid, strapping kid. And he came over to me, he says, "Mister," he says, "I'm hungry and I haven't eaten and I have no money." I felt sorry for the kid, okay? I said, "All right, you stay here." I went inside, I made him a sandwich, a cup of coffee and everything, and I brought it out to him. I said, "Let me ask you something, young man." I says, "Why aren't you working?" He says, "I can't find a job." I says, "You can't find a job?" I said, "I'll tell you what, I need a dishwasher. I'll start you off at $300 a week. And you do the dishwashing." You know what he said to me? He says, "That's not for me. That's for Whitey." That's for Whitey? That's what he said to me. That's for Whitey. I took the sandwich. I said, "Get the hell out of here." So
wow.
Another time, I had this company. I used to do business with United Pickle. It's a big pickle company. Okay. And we used to get in the barrels of pickles, 50 gallons at a shot, okay? The reason we didn't make our own is because we just didn't have any room for it. You understand? Right. So anyway, well, a pickle, you take a new pickle and you keep it at room temperature and it ferments. Pickles don't ferment under refrigeration. You buy new pickles and leave it out for 2 days. you got a perfect half sour pickle. In any event, let me get back to this. So he starts rolling the barrels down, and we had that chute and everything, and it has a hoople around the top with burlap, to keep the juice in and everything. I said, wait a second. I said, open up this pickle. Open up this barrel. He says, why? I said, don't question me. I said, just open it up. And my boss was outside. I said, Milton, come here. I want to show you something. I says, give me a broomstick. Give me a stick. I said, all right. I got a stick. He says, watch this, Milton. And I took this broomstick and I jammed it down into the barrel of pickles. The thing went down about 3/4 of the way and it stopped. Didn't go to the bottom of the barrel. It went about 3/4 down. You know why? What they used to do is in the wintertime, they used to put water, one quarter of the barrel, they would fill with water and freeze it. Make ice out of it, pour the pickles on top of the ice. By the time it was downstairs for a day, it would all evaporate, or the ice would all melt, and you think you'd be getting 50 gallons worth of pickles, and you're only getting 35 gallons, but you're paying for 50. Okay?
Holy crap.
Right. So what I did was I caught the guys. The guys were crying to me because we were very big stuff. He gave me pickles for the next 6 months for nothing.
Really?
Okay? Yeah, right. And
what tipped you off, Murray? What tipped you off that?
I'll tell you what tipped me off. I used to go on a route with my father when I was 7 or 8 years old. We had delicatessen and smoked fish. All right, we used to get pickles by Hollander and down near the Williamsburg Bridge. I used to make pickles when I was 7 years old. I knew what they did. All right. Yeah, I worked for Hollander. I worked for Gus's Pickles. You ever hear the names? Gus?
Hollander, maybe. Yeah.
And Hollander, right? I was down in Delancey Street. So I knew all the tricks of the trade, even though I was a little kid. I knew what they used to do. So I told you I was born in this line. My father was in the line for over 50 years.
You told about that kid that came up and with the sandwich. That's very disturbing. That I know.
I thought so.
Just from talking to Peter all these years, I know how he feels about that as well. And because Ronnie's history with Jackie and everything, that disturbs us. Can you tell us a story of a positive story of maybe somebody who you guys gave a break to? And
oh yeah, absolutely. I had a waiter working in the store. I hired him, as a matter of fact. He was about 6'5". He weighed about 270. All right. He was a black waiter. Okay. He was the nicest guy you ever wanted to meet. As a matter of fact, I'm a season ticket holder with the Giants. I took him to a Giant game with me, as a matter of fact. Him and Charlie Jones, who was also a black man, working in the kitchen, but I was very friendly with these two guys. And I remember I was sitting there making out my list for merchandise that I need for the next day. And they came over, one of the waitresses came over to me, and she said, what was his name? Marty, his name was. He says, he's black, I says, what? He says, well, he's black, and he's a waiter. I says, you know something? I says, if you ever mention that word to me again, I'm going to fire you on the spot, and the union is not going to help you. I'm going to first of all, he's 10 times the waiter you are. And he was a really nice guy. Unfortunately, he died very young, but I was, like I said, very friendly with him. And Charlie Jones I knew for 20 years. We used to talk baseball all the time, and I used to take him to a game with me all the time. Never charged them. I just took them for nothing because I liked them. They were nice guys. Yeah. They were really, really nice guys.
Murray, I'm so glad you told that story because
me too.
It puts things into perspective a little bit. That not every black person.
Listen, let me tell you something, Peter. I don't care if a guy is green, blue, red, or black. I take a man for what he is. His color means absolutely nothing to me. I'm not that way. I'm not prejudiced in the least. Okay.
That's great.
I knew you weren't, but I just wanted to hear a positive story.
Absolutely not. Like I said, some of the worst people I ever met were Jews like me. Okay, they're really nasty people. Okay,
good and bad in everybody, right? There's good and bad in all.
That's right. There's good and bad.
Absolutely. You know, I had words with guys that would. I don't even want to mention the name of a big star in Hollywood, and I didn't even want to mention his name, but he was Jewish and a nasty son of a bitch like you'd never seen. He thought his shit don't stink.
Tell us.
But, you know, you get it. It's good, like you said, there's good and bad in all. There's good and bad in all. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
I heard a very bad story the other day about a Jewish actor named Kirk Douglas.
Oh, yeah, Kirk Douglas. Danelovich, his name was.
A story about him taking advantage of I won't even repeat it. Turns out he's a jerk, and that surprised me.
I'd be very surprised too.
Yeah,
I thought he was a real mensch.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to tell the story
I think he just turned 100. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 100 years old.
If he gets to 107, sell.
You're talking about nice guys. I remember doing a party for Mayor Koch in his house with my son, and Benny Goodman was there, and Lionel Hampton was there, and UB Blake was there, and we did the party for Mayor Koch in his house. Yeah.
That's
UB Blake was the piano player back in the...
Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
He was an old man then.
I know. He used to play Pennies from Heaven. He used to play a lot of times, and I remember those things. Sure, I remember.
That's great.
So you did a party for Mayor Koch. Did you do it at the mayor's mansion in Manhattan, or where?
No, his house.
His house?
His house.
Yeah.
I like that.
We did parties. We did parties in the Friars Club. We used to do parties all the time, you know.
I have a story about Mayor Koch.
This was before the man became a judge.
Right. He used to do parties in the 21 Club. I like Mayor Koch. He was very tight with Bess Meyerson all the time.
Yeah, that was his beard.
Yes, she was the first Jewish Miss America, I think.
He was his beard. He used to go to all the functions with her.
Yeah, right.
Because he was gay and he couldn't take his man friend or anything like that.
I know.
I got a great story about Mayor Koch.
I thought he was a pretty damn good mayor, though. Let me tell you.
Sure he was.
I like Mayor Koch.
Yeah. I love the guy. I love the guy. How am I doing? Oh, he's great.
Yeah, right.
I'm on a date in New York City. I'm walking down a sidewalk with my date, and here comes Mayor Koch out of Gristedes. He's got a couple of bags. Right. He's coming out of Gristedes with a couple of bags, and his black Cadillac is waiting for him. And as he comes out, I go, Mr. Mayor, how you doing? He goes, hello there. And just then, a young guy comes by on a bicycle. Okay? Now, there's a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people there. There's about a dozen people. Because Mayor Koch is Mayor Koch, right? And there's about a dozen people. And the guy comes by on a bicycle, and he goes, Koch, you suck. And without blinking, Koch turns to him and says, fuck you. And he turns right around and keeps on talking to all the people.
He was a man of the people. I like Koch.
I was totally flabbergasted.
He didn't take no bullshit from nobody. You know,
no, he didn't.
No, I liked him too.
He wanted to run again and he didn't want it. He says, "You had your chance. Now screw you." That's it.
That's right. That's exactly what he said.
Did Donald Trump ever come in?
I know.
Did Donald Trump ever come in?
Right.
He didn't hear your question.
He's ignoring you.
He didn't hear your question, Ronnie.
I didn't hear it.
Did Donald Trump ever come in?
No, I didn't see Donald Trump. But I'll tell you who came in. The president, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter came in. You got to remember where this guy is from. He's from Georgia, okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And he comes in and he orders a pastrami sandwich on white with mayonnaise, Okay. I turned around. I says, Mr. President, you're going to get a pastrami on rye with a bottle of cream soda. This is not Georgia. And everybody was laughing, and he loved it. He loved it. He says, I never had this before. He says, I loved it. Just one time when Russian Premier Kosygin came in. First they had a rope off three block square area in the Carnegie, and there was cops on the roofs with all submachine guns, and he came in, and this was just before the economic summit when Reagan was president, and then we all went down to Virginia for the economic summit, and I served them all the food there. First they had to give me a clearance from the Secret Service. They seen I had a clean record, and I was an ex-Navy and Marine, and I was able to go down there and got the clearance. I got papers from it to prove what I did and all that kind of stuff. Pictures, very cool work. Yeah, it was nice.
Did the Kennedys ever come in?
Kennedy? Ted Kennedy.
Yeah.
Ted Kennedy.
Ted did? Bobby ever?
Who?
Bobby Kennedy. Did he?
No, I never seen him.
Just Teddy.
You know, he used to come in a lot. Diane Carroll and her husband, can't think of his name right now. You know, the singer.
Yeah.
He just recently died. You know, they were married and they got divorced and then they got married a second time. I remember he used to come in with a scarf around his neck. Vic Damone, he used to come in with a scarf around his neck to protect his voice. You know, all that stuff. She was a beautiful girl. Beautiful girl.
Vic Damone had a great voice.
Frank Sinatra said he had the best pipes in Hollywood.
Yeah, but he also said Frank Sinatra did that he might have had the best voice pipes, but he had the least amount of soul. And that's
could be. This I don't know. But,
yeah. But
Frank, you know, Frank's. There's a lot of different stories about Frank Sinatra. Some positive, some negative. But from what I know, he was a great guy. Okay, and he helped out a lot of people in his field. People that were, you know, Abbott Costello when they were up against it. He paid a lot.
Saved my life.
Well, like I said, you know, and you know, he used to come in all the time.
Stop beating him up.
You know, he used to come in all the time from the New York Athletic Club. Rocky Graziano.
Oh,
Rocky always used to come in. He was a nice guy. I liked Rocky. He was really nice guy.
Middleweight.
Yeah, middleweight. Well, he was champ. He was champ.
Some of the gangsters, did they come in?
Who? Muhammad Ali came in. He came in with all his entourage. And he used to come in with his sparring partner. You know who his sparring partner was?
I think it was who was it?
Mr. T.
Oh yeah.
His sparring partner.
Yeah.
He used to come in with them. And but one thing, you know, when he ate and everything, and then when he was getting ready to walk out, he says, "I'll give you my autograph." I says, Muhammad, I don't want your autograph. I want your autograph maybe on a check. That's it. All these big people, a lot of them didn't want to pay.
Yeah.
But they were, you know, certain guys that were,
autograph on a check.
You know, Joe DiMaggio never went any place if he had to pay. He was tight. And, you know, you think these guys have all kinds of money, but, you know, you're dealing with the hoi polloi sometimes. The average guy gives you the better tip than anybody else. That's how it is.
There you go.
You know.
That's right.
Right, well, you told us last time you were on about the big tip you got from one of the Memphis runners.
Yeah. Well, you know who was one of my delivery boys? Hector Camacho. He was a lightweight champ.
Yeah.
He started out as a delivery boy. He used to deliver orders with skates. He used to have skates on. He used to deliver the boys. Hector Camacho. Right.
That's a great story.
That. Yeah, that's.
Did he remember you guys when he was champ?
Sure, he remembered. He remembered. Absolutely, he remembered. Sure, we did.
That's good.
So many things that we did, you know, in the Carnegie.
How about Rickles?
Period of 35 years.
Don Rickles, did he ever come in?
Oh, yeah. Rickles used to come in.
Yeah.
Nice guy. I like Don.
Very good.
Great personality. And Jackie Mason was in there 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Three times a week, and Jackie, all he ever ate was chicken in a pot. That's what he liked.
Really?
Chicken in a pot with matzo balls and carrots. Him and Joel Gray too. Joel Gray also.
Mel Brooks? How about one of my
I never
heroes,
seen Mel Brooks.
Brooks?
I never seen Mel Brooks. No, I never seen Mel Brooks. But I seen Yul Brynner. I liked him. He was great guy. Unfortunately, he also died from cancer, cigarettes and everything. He used to campaign about not smoking, you know. He's a little guy. He was only 5'7", you know. Liberace came in. Also, Liberace was only about 5'7". That's all. He used to wear elevated shoes. Yes, they all came in. But I like Joel. But Joel Gray came in, but he never used to sit down and eat. He used to take food out, just the same as Dane Clark. Dane Clark used to come in. Remember Dane Clark?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you know who gave him his name? John Garfield. John Garfield gave him the name Dane Clark. That wasn't his real name. But he used to come in, never sat down. He used to take out sturgeon. That was his thing. He loved sturgeon. I used to make him up for sturgeon sandwiches and for him to take out.
Sturgeon sandwiches? Really?
Yeah,
Sturgeon. I love it. I love that story.
Well, sure, sturgeon. We carried the finest. We carried the finest.
Sure you did.
We didn't.
Murray, I'm sure you did.
We used to charge good prices, but we gave top of the line merchandise.
Sure you did.
You know, because I used to tell all my purveyors.
Or more pastrami?
What's that?
Did you sell more corned beef or more pastrami?
It was pretty even.
Even?
It was pretty even.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It was pretty even. I used to tell all my purveyors, you know, I says, look, your job to me, because a lot of times I would get bribes, you know. I says, look, I don't need your money. I make a very good living. Don't ever ask me for that again because I'm going to throw you out of here. Your job is to give me top-line merchandise, and my job is to pay you, period. Right. And everybody wanted to do business with the Carnegie because we paid bill on bill. We were very, very good payers. That's what it was. And we used a tremendous amount of merchandise, so they wanted it. I told those guys when they offered me money, I said, don't ever ask me that again. I said, if you want to come Christmas time and give me something, all right. But that's it. Nothing else. Mm-hmm. And that's the way, that's what I expected from them. Only top of the line merchandise. Not only in cheese too. Like we used to sell, I used to sell these, I don't know if you ever seen these blocks of Swiss cheese. They're like 3 feet long and they weigh like 30 pounds. Okay? Wow. And when it comes to Swiss cheese, the top of the line Swiss cheese, the best Swiss cheese in the world is called Emmentaler. It's an imported piece of cheese from Switzerland. It's the finest Switzerland cheese you can get. And it's expensive, but this is what we used. Because listen, like I said, quality, quantity, consistency, attention to detail. This is the 4 items that you have to go by if you want to have a successful marriage. That's all. You got to be able. You can charge, but you got to give. You got to give.
No, that transcends to any business. It transcends.
Absolutely. Right.
Sports franchises.
Any business.
Everything's got to be the same. Just like I used to tell my countermen. I had 16 countermen, all right? And I used to tell them, I want everything in place. Everything's got to be in a place, the same place. Every day it's got to be the same way. So when we get real busy, you don't have to look around for stuff. You know exactly where to go. And I could tell them because I knew every job in that store I knew. I can go into the kitchen and do the cooking if I had to. It was no problem. So this is what it was. Yeah. Quality, quantity, consistency, attention to detail. And that's what you want. And that's why people came in like that all the time.
Too. That's why you
we used to get a lot of Japanese people coming in, a lot of Japanese, and they loved lox. They loved lox, and they loved tongue, smoked tongue. Okay, they loved it, and that's why in the delicatessen, the most expensive meat is tongue, more expensive than any other meat. And you know why? Because the Japanese got a hold of it, they love it, and they cornered the whole market on it, and it made the price go through the roof. That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. It is tasty. Tom.
It's tasty. You know, it's a very distinctive taste. You either like it or you don't like it. I don't care for it.
Right.
My wife loves it. I don't care for it.
I don't care.
You know what a cow's tongue looks like?
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you know, that's the same way as a human tongue, only 10 times the size. It's the same thing. Our tongues look like that too. Same. You could only see the tip of your tongue, but you don't see the center cut, which is halfway down in your throat.
Yeah, right.
Oh, very good point.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, tongue is very expensive. There's plenty of places that don't even carry it because the price is very high.
I know on the Donna party it was a big seller.
Right.
So,
listen, a lot of things they used to use. I remember many, many years ago when I was first starting in as a kid, they used to take the back end of the corned beef, which is a solid chunk of fat. It's solid. They used to take it and they used to put a lot of black pepper on it and put it up on the counter, and people used to buy it. They used to call it speck, and they used to eat it. It was pickled fat. Pickled fat, right? That's what they used to eat.
Wow.
In those days, they didn't know from cholesterol. Nobody knew about cholesterol. That's how it was. You know. Who knew from that? You know, my mother cooked. You know, my mother kept sort of like a kosher house, and she used to cook not with butter, but with chicken fat. Okay.
Yeah, schmaltz.
And schmaltz, right. And we were very healthy. We were never sick. That's how it was. In our house, particularly, there was always delicatessen and smoked fish because my father was in the line. You know, this is what it was.
My father would like whitefish in the mornings.
And even the best whitefish is not anymore. You know, you know what a chub is?
Yeah.
No.
The chub is the small whitefish. That's the little ones. Yeah. Then you got the big whitefish, which weighs like a pound and 3/4 to 2 pounds. Big whitefish. But back in those days, there used to be one in between. It was called a Cisco. It was 3/4 of a pound. It was the best whitefish you ever ate in your life. But they don't make it anymore because the Great Lakes got polluted, and that wiped out the Ciscos. No more. And they don't even have it anymore. They had butterfish in those days too. You don't see it anymore. It's gone. No. It's gone. It's a different item altogether now. Sure. Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing I learned that Japanese like lox.
Oh, they love it. Are you kidding? Well, why wouldn't they? They like sushi.
Yeah.
They eat sushi, don't they? Right.
How do you say
they love lox
in Japanese? How do you say that?
Right. And then in 1943, you know, they only had salt. Lox was always salty. But 1943, they came out with a process, Nova Scotia lox.
Nova Scotia, right.
That started in 1943. And in those days, they had chicken salami, too. You know, the casing was made out of chicken skins. So they called it chicken salami. And it was put in an iron rack, and it was a square piece of meat cut. But they don't make it anymore because it's too expensive to make. And they actually went to court about it, and they're not allowed to call it chicken salami anymore. Some places call it chicken salami, the white salami, but it's not. It's just white salami. That's all it is. It's just
How about kishka? Did you ever have kishka? Did you serve kishka?
Did I have kishka? Are you kidding? I grew up on it. I make my own kishka. I make my own because you can't get any good kishka anymore. You know, now they make kishka. It's made with an edible plastic. Okay?
Yeah.
It's a edible plastic.
Coney Island, you can't get kishka in Coney Island?
Well, all the delis had kishka. You know, that's made from the intestines of a lamb. You know what that is?
Right.
It's actually called bungets. That's what they call it, bungets.
Yeah.
But when I want kishka, I make it myself because you can't get it down. I get the casings and I fill it. I make the stuffing and everything. Last time I made it, I made 6 feet of it. Okay.
Oh my!
I made 6 feet of kishka. I made, and I
How many
boiled.
employees did you supervise?
How many?
Yeah, how many? It's 16.
How many? We had 153 employees.
Wow.
And you had to do the buying and...
I did the buying and the selling and the hiring and everything. Right.
Wow, what a high-pressure job.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, with the high pressure comes the money.
Yeah, that's true.
That's right.
That's
true.
So
that's very true.
I always attacked it. Anyway, getting back to the kishka, I made the kishka. I used to boil it, and after from 6 feet after you boil it, it shrunk. It shrunk down to 3 feet, and after you boil it for like 2 hours, then you put it in the oven and you roast it, and then it's great. It has no meat in there though. You know, it's all cereal, grain, chicken fat, paprika, spices, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's so good.
Delicious.
So,
but you know, it's very high in cholesterol, and you know they don't
I love it though.
sell it. That's what it is. We used to have sweetbreads. You ever hear that? You know what sweetbreads are? Huh?
Brains, right?
No.
Brains, right?
Sweetbreads. You don't know what that is, do you?
Isn't that brains?
No. Brains. See, everybody thinks it's brains. No. It's, you know, you ever see it, you know, a cow with the skin hangs down from the neck?
Yeah.
Sweetbreads is made from the parathyroid glands. Not the thyroid, the parathyroid glands. That's sweetbreads.
Hey, Murray, you wanted to talk movies. What is your all-time favorite movie?
The Ten Commandments.
Okay.
All right.
Very interesting.
I remember the first time I seen the Ten Commandments. I was in Camp Pendleton in 1956. I paid 10 cents on a base to go in and see it. That's when it came out in 1956.
I'm speechless.
And I could name you 30 people that played in that picture. You know, it's a wonderful picture. But I had a lot of pictures that I loved very much. You know, I liked a lot of these FBI pictures, like Walk a Crooked Mile, Walk East on Beacon. I love those kind of pictures. With Richard Widmark, the old pictures.
A movie called Pendulum with Corbett.
That was Vincent Price, wasn't it?
No, it was Corbett. James Corbett or something like that.
James Corbett?
A cousin of mine.
The only Corbett I know is James J. Corbett was a fighter.
No, I can't think. Coburn. James Coburn.
James Coburn. Yeah, of course. Yeah, he was a good karate guy.
My mother's first cousin, Stanley Niss, produced that movie.
Yeah,
and,
he was in the Magnificent Seven.
Yes.
I know.
What did you think of the movies that the Rat Pack were in? How did their acting stand up? Sammy Davis and
they just had a lot of fun. I mean, it was very natural. You know, it was like they had their own little clique and they was on film. You know, it wasn't great acting. They were just regular guys. Wasn't the greatest pictures.
Hell, weren't they?
What's that?
Entertaining as hell.
Oh yeah, they were entertaining. Entertaining. But like I said, I like those FBI pictures. You ever see the house on 92nd Street? Remember that picture?
I don't think so, no.
I'm making a list over here.
Also, that was a true story. In the Second World War, the Nazis tried to steal the secrets of the atomic bomb. And it was on 92nd Street and Amsterdam Avenue. It's a 4th-floor walk-up. The building is still there. It was with Lloyd Nolan. They never found. They never got the
German neighborhood. That the East Side neighborhood. Up in
Yeah, right. So, but they never got the secrets. And after that, they caught everybody. They never got the secrets from the most guarded secret in the Second World War was the atomic bomb, you know. But all those pictures, same thing with Walk East on Beacon, old Louis Hayward, Dennis O'Keefe, you know, all those guys. I don't know if you know, I'm throwing these names out to you. I don't know if you know these names.
I watch Turner Classic Movies all the time, so I all old black and whites.
Yeah, did you see the one where Kiss of Death with Richard Widmark?
Sure.
Where he throws it down the steps.
Yep.
He throws Mildred Dunnock down the steps. That was the old lady, Mildred Dunnock.
You know, when my wife and I walk into a place and somebody's got an old movie on their TV set, and the guy comes on the screen or something, and I'll look at Linda look at me, she'll go, Edward Everett Horton.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say, Jack Carson. We know all the bit players. Eve Arden.
Jack Carson
we
used
know
to play
all
with
the
Dennis.
bit players from the black and white movies.
They
all
made
of
the pictures. Those character actors made the movies. Come on.
Sure they
Jack
did.
Carson used to play a lot of times with Dennis Morgan. You know, he used to sing Dennis Morgan. Sure.
Yep.
Right, I remember
I like
that.
those Thin Man movies.
I remember Jack Carson played in the Strawberry Blonde. You remember that picture?
Yep.
Yeah. Was Dennis
James
Morgan
Cagney?
and Arthur Godfrey?
Arthur Godfrey?
Yeah, he had a singer. Was that Dennis Morgan?
No, Julius LaRosa.
Nah.
Well, there was a Dennis somebody, though, too.
It was a
Dennis Day? Dennis Day was with Jack Benny.
Dennis Day.
He was with Jack Benny. Right, he was Jack Benny and Phil Harris and Mary Livingston, you know.
Yes.
That was Rochester, you know. Sure, that was Dennis Day. He was he had a tenor voice.
He was a mumser. Arthur
Were you telling me about it? You know, down in Miami Beach, they have a place on 41st Street. It's called Arthur Godfrey Drive. They changed it to 41st Street. He was the biggest anti-Semite going.
Oh, he was. That's right.
Oh, yes.
The hotel was restricted. It was restricted to Jews.
I know.
Yeah.
He had a share in the Kenilworth Hotel up on Miami Beach.
That's right.
I know. Right, he was very big into
school. How did it come that you went to school in Miami, Murray?
Well, when I got let out of the service early because to go to college. Okay, my parents had moved from Brooklyn down to Miami Beach, so I flew from Los Angeles to Miami Beach, and I enrolled in college. They took me in. And I went to the University of Miami. That's how I went there.
Have you ever been to Miami before?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. First time we went there was in 1947. My father and mother, Ronnie and Herbie and me, in a 47 package. 47 package Clipper Deluxe. I remember that. And we used to go down. We used to stay down in the Belmont Hotel down on 3rd Street in Ocean Drive. Now it's called South Beach. And we used to go down there. We used to go down to 3rd Street, and then Miami Beach went down to 1st Street. That was the end. At the end on 1st Street was the police station, and the dog track was down there too. They had a dog track, the Miami Fronton, they called it. And for
Do you remember a restaurant called The Famous? In Miami?
Of course.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn, you mean?
No, in Miami Beach, called The Famous on Washington Avenue.
Washington Avenue, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I used to go to Wolfie's. That's where I used to go. I used to go to Wolfie's on Lincoln Road.
Were you tempted to stay in Miami or in Florida after you got out of college? Because going back to the weather.
Yeah, but it was too far from the Yankees and the Giants.
Okay.
Okay.
You wanted to return to the cultural center of the world.
I like cold weather. I like cold weather. I don't mind cold weather. I like it.
See what I said, Ralph?
Yes,
you wanted to return to the cultural center of the world.
Yeah, right.
There's no question about that.
There you go.
We go down to Miami Beach once in a while. I don't go to Miami Beach. I usually go down to Naples. I like Naples.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have a brother living down in Disney World. I had one down in Delray. But I like Naples. But, it's to me, live all year round is not for me. I like change of season. I like,
Yeah.
But like I say, the biggest thing is the sports. It's too far from Giant Stadium. It's too far from Yankee Stadium. I got to have that. At my advanced age, this is my enjoyment. The football, the Giants, the Yankees, and pinochle. As a matter of fact, I played pinochle today. I was 55 and over, and we were playing pinochle. And I played Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Nice.
I don't know if you guys play pinochle at all, but we have about 14 guys, and It's great. It's a great game. It's very different because in poker, if you get like a full house or four of a kind, you got a winner. In pinochle, you could have a perfect hand, and if you don't know how to play your cards, you go bait, you lose. It's a very, very good game. It's a real head game. You know, it's not really a money game. We don't play for small. We play for small stakes. It's the enjoyment of it. It's really good.
Yeah. Social.
And when I went to play there, a couple of years ago, I went to play there. We were introducing each other. You know, I've been playing there for about 9 years. And the guy says, well, you worked in the Carnegie? What'd you do there? I told him what I did. He says, would you consider maybe making a party for us or something? I said, sure. You tell me how many guys you want, get together, and I'll give you a menu with a price and everything, and we'll take care of it. So that's what I did. And we had about 50 guys that came in with their wives and everything, and I used their kitchen, their facilities, and I made them a delicatessen party. And they said, wow, Murray, we haven't had deli like this since we left Brooklyn. You know, I'm very careful. I wouldn't serve anything that I wouldn't eat myself in my mouth. Okay, that's how I am. Everything's got to be perfect, and it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. I made even my own salad, my own potato salad, my own coleslaw, everything. I made everything myself. Of course, my wife helped. She was a big help to me too. My wife is an absolutely excellent cook and baker. And she, you know, we're in the food line. We all food. My son is a gourmet chef. He graduated from Johnson and Wales in Rhode Island. So we're all into food. This is how it is.
That's good.
So I want to ask you.
You know, eating was one of the pure joys of living. You know, it's really good.
There was a movie not long ago with Louis Prima doing the music. This was maybe 15 years ago. About a restaurateur opening and trying to get a critic to come down to his restaurant. Do you guys remember that movie?
I don't.
No, I've never seen it.
Look for it. Louis Prima does. You could probably Google it by
the one that was with Keely Smith. You mean?
No, they used his music as background
to
the movie.
And,
it was a terrific movie. They showed photography of the food being prepared, and it was just. I'm not a food person per se, but that was, and maybe a lot of it had to do with the music, the Louis Prima music, which you can't go wrong with. But that movie sticks with me, and if you guys are into food and movies, you might check it out.
All right.
I wish I.
But getting off the subject for a second, I wanted to say something. When it came back to the movies, you know.
Right.
Remember I mentioned that picture, the Thief of Baghdad. Remember I mentioned that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember that picture? Do you remember there was a genie in that picture? Remember the big genie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, do you remember who he was? That guy. Now this guy played. Do you remember a picture called Sahara with Humphrey Bogart on a desert tank? Yeah. And there was a black guy in that picture too. Yep. He's the one who played as the genie. Do you remember who he was?
No.
Rex Ingram played that part. I remember that. Rex Ingram played that part.
Trivia, baby.
Oh yeah.
Well,
listen, one of my favorite pictures of all time was Hangmen Also Die. Did you ever see that picture?
Say it again.
I never saw.
That was a true story. You know, during the Second World War, Hitler had one of his cohorts, Heydrich. I don't know if you heard the name Heydrich. He was they called him the Hangman. And he was in charge of Czechoslovakia. He was assassinated, and because he was assassinated, the Germans let out a bloodbath. They killed thousands, but they never found out who did it. That was a true picture. That was a true picture with Brian Donlevy and Dennis O'Keefe. And it was a marvelous picture. Hangmen Also Die. It was from 1943. All true.
How close did we come to losing that war?
Oh, yeah, close. Very close. Germany was producing heavy water, for the atomic bomb. They made a picture about that too, with what they did. The Germans, they sank all their heavy water in the crossbow incident, and the heroes of Telemark also. They made that picture.
I'm reminded about how many Nazis got a free ride into this country.
I know. Well, you know why, don't you? Because they had the technology.
Right.
They had technology. But listen, look, my family, like my wife's family, they were living in Paris. My wife was born in Paris, and they were living under the Nazi regime. Now, Renee has a brother who's 11 years older than her, okay? And he was a very brilliant guy, scientist and everything like that. And the Germans found him. They knew he was Jewish, but because of his brain, his knowledge, they gave him a choice: either work for us or they kill you. So he worked for the Germans, and only because he was Jewish and he had this brain power, and he worked and helped with. You ever hear of Peenemünde?
No.
Peenemünde is where the Nazis launched their V-2 rockets to England. It was from Peenemünde. That was on the Danish coast, okay? And my brother-in-law was one of the people that had worked for them. He worked with Werner von Braun.
Wow.
You've heard the name Werner von Braun, don't you?
Sure. Yeah.
I remember it from the Tom Lehrer song.
Werner von Braun was the top scientist for the Nazis. He started with the V1 rocket and V2 rockets, and at the end of the war we took him here because of his knowledge, and he was brilliant, and he started our space program. Werner von Braun, he was
right.
brilliant scientist. He put up the first Sputnik, That's what it was.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah, sure.
He did, really. Yeah. Amazing.
Yep. That's what it is. I'm a fan of history. I love the Second World War.
Murray, you are amazing. You are so amazing.
Listen, this is what I like to do.
We like it too.
Interest. It's my interest.
We like it too.
And,
we're going to have to wind it down, though. We're going to have to wind it down for tonight. But before we do that, I would like you, Murray, you to promise us that you will come back on the show.
I give you my word.
Be a guest.
My word is good. When I say yes to something, that's what I mean.
All right, that's wonderful.
I'm not a phony. I tell you the way it is. If I can't do it, I tell you that too.
You call it ace and ace, and we appreciate that.
Right, absolutely.
Here's how it's going to go down. I will get in touch with you, like I have in the past, and right. I will ask you to come on and give you the date and everything, and you will tell me, Pete, I'm sorry I can't do it that night, but yes, I can do it that night or whatever. And
let me ask you something. Is it always going to be on a Wednesday?
It's always going to be on a Wednesday.
Most likely it'll be all right for me,
Okay.
I have other commitments, but I'm usually my Wednesday night. I'm pretty free. Something could come up in the future. Just I don't know, and if it does, well then we'll deal with it when
we'll deal with
us.
Exactly, yes. We'll deal with it. I'm sure I speak for both Ronnie Rabinovitz and Ralph Tyko when I say that we really enjoy your company on the show.
Listen, I enjoy going on the phone. You guys are great. I really enjoy it.
Thank you so much. Thank
you.
Ralph? Yeah, Murray,
listen,
that makes all the difference.
That's what life is all about, This is what life is all about.
Wow, you're right in. If it ain't fun, it shouldn't be getting done.
Right.
You're right in with a philosophy.
And Ralph, what we learned tonight, here's what we learned tonight. Ralph and I always knew that the French loved the tongue. But now we know the Japanese love the tongue.
Oh
too.
yeah, are you kidding? And also a lot of the stewards is from American Samoa too.
Oh,
from
they
American
like tongue too.
They like lox too.
Right. I can tell you what they all ate. Like Jerry Lewis. Jerry specials and beans. That's what he ate all the time. He'd come in and I said, specials, Franks, thick Franks. specials and beans. And he says, I'm on a diet, Murray. He came in one time. I says, well, all right, Jerry, I'll give you like chicken soup. He said, no, give me the specials. I have to have it. I'm dying for it. He loves specials and beans.
Ladies.
Yeah. I like Jerry. I thought he was a great guy.
I like Jerry too.
I like him a lot. I like Jerry a lot.
Good guy.
And I liked Jackie Mason too. Jackie was a regular guy and a real sport, big tipper.
You know, he was born in my hometown in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's right.
Was his dad a rabbi there? I know his dad.
Yeah, they were cantors. His brother, one of his brothers, was a cantor here in South River. You know. Yeah. No, Jackie was ordained. You know, but he didn't follow it. But he used to come. One thing about Jackie, he always came in with girls 18 or 19 years old. He liked.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nothing wrong.
As soon as they turn into their 20s, you get rid of them.
He used the same line on them as he used on Ed Sullivan.
Right.
A finger for you, a finger for you.
Right. I said, I like Jackie. I like her very much.
Funny man.
Yeah, there was a lot of nice guys that came in over the period of years. Yeah. You know, Jack Nicholson, really nice guy. I took a big picture with Jack Nicholson, and it's right over the register, about a 3-foot picture, me and Jack Nicholson. You know.
Oh, nice.
Nice guy, regular guy. I told you one time he came in for breakfast with a couple of guys, and they ate. And the bill came to about $45 or $50, and he put down a $50 tip. And jokingly, I said, Jack, is that the best you can do? He said, Murray, I'm between pictures right now. But like I said, I loved my job. I didn't feel like an employee.
You could tell.
You know, I was there, whatever it took. You know, a lot of times I would just go to my apartment around the corner because it didn't pay for me to go home and come back in 3 hours. So I had an apartment on 53rd Street in Broadway, and you know, and I'd stay there for a while, rest up a little bit, and then come back to the store. Especially if you have big catering jobs.
Naps and stuff, like a little power nap in the afternoon.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Right.
Cool.
But most of the times I couldn't take off. But, you know, when I was able to take off, I'd go upstairs and just not even sleep, but just sit down and relax, sit back and kick my shoes off and have a good pastrami sandwich and, you know. I'd call down to the store, they'd send a sandwich up to me, whatever, you know. One of the delivery boys
to the rumor you'd get your pastrami sandwiches from the Stage Deli, right?
Yeah, right. You got the Stage did make their own pastrami. They had to buy theirs. We made ours. They didn't have it. They didn't have a smokehouse with a facility where they could make it, because you can't make that stuff on the premises when you're serving people. You're not allowed to have it because of the smoke ovens.
Right.
We had the facility downtown on 3rd Street and Avenue A. We had a 3-floor building. We must take all our merchandise there, all the cakes and pastries and everything was all homemade. We didn't buy any cakes or pastries. We made everything. We made everything 100%. The only thing we didn't make was the pickles.
Were you in charge of that too, or was there
What's
a manager?
Where? The facility downtown? No, we had a guy down there too.
Okay, you and he
Jeff
coordinated things.
Oh yeah, sure. You know, we had the fax machines, and sometimes if I need something, I'd fax it over to him, and we'd run a truck up to the Carnegie. So, Jeff Jensen, he was the manager down there. Yeah, sure.
Good. Give him a little credit too for making the operation run.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. Jeff Jensen, all right? His father was the one who made the cheesecakes for Lindy's in New York. All right?
Oh, wow.
And they were famous for Lindy's cheesecake, right? But many, many years ago.
Yes, absolutely.
That was Jeff's father, right? And I knew him. He was about 85 years old at the time, and you'd think he was 50. He'd have his bottle. He'd drink a bottle of scotch every day.
Hey, when I was 50, people thought I was 85. So that what a juxtaposition, huh?
Right, I'll be there soon. I just had a birthday last week. I was 81, March the 7th.
Whoa!
Yep.
Congratulations!
My wife made me a terrific dinner here. We had a nice dinner here Sunday night. Oh, she's great. She's a great cook. We had it on Sunday night because during the 7th came out on a Wednesday, so we had it Sunday, and she made a fantastic dinner. It was,
that's great.
Great.
I'm producing on the fly here, but I think it would be wonderful if you would bring your wife on the show, and you guys can talk about your life together.
Sure, my wife would love to do that.
Beautiful. Is that okay with you, Peter?
That's better than okay.
I tell you, the next time we get together, I'm going to have my wife on there too.
Great. Beautiful.
Hey, great.
I'm very curious to see a couple who can make it on a long-term basis.
Yes.
I'm into the longest-term relationship I've ever had. It's almost 3 years.
And I'm 56 years.
Well,
that's great.
I want to those that debate. Would you rather have 56 women, one for a year each, or would you rather have one woman for 56 years?
Because I want one woman that wants me for me.
That's how I want. I want the next 56 years of my life to be with Tally. And
the sexual attraction wears off and nothing else behind it.
Their hearts out, as I'm sure they're doing.
Now, I got 56 years with my wife. I got one good wife, and I'm blessed with her. That's it. I don't need, the sexual attraction is what gets you together in the first place. But if there's nothing else besides that, then it doesn't last.
Oh, no.
Because it's got to wear off. It's got to wear off. And after a while, you got to want the person for the person. Never mind loving them, you got to like them too. You got to like them also. Besides loving them, you got to like them. I like my wife. Okay,
that's great.
I love her, but I like her too. So this.
All right, boys, I got to leave. Goodbye. Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Ronnie.
Good night, Ronnie.
Chatting tonight, my friend.
All right. We're gonna round this up.
Okay.
Ralph,
and next time I'm going to put my wife on too. And she's
very good.
She's very good at it. She's.
Can't wait to hear your love story. That's
right.
Okay. That's great.
Okay. That's
good
with
I'll
me.
be in touch. I'll be in touch. And to all our listeners, thanks for listening.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Radio. Okay. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.